It's all for play for still.
I think so. Do you want to bet against us?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to For the Love of Paul McGrath podcast. What is going on behind me here? It seems like it's all blurred. Maybe I found some new feature. I think. Look at that. Look at that, Paddy. Look at that. I can bend time just like John McGinn can bend it into the back of the net from a bazillion yards. What a great goal he scored! I'm sure we're going to get on to talking about that in a moment, Paddy.
I can tell you what it's not. It's not the beautiful Irish weather anyway, is it?
No, well, do you know what? It's so cloudy and mucky and like pea soup outside. It could just have come into the place I'm in. It could have just morphed its way in. It's like something out of Lost, I'd say. But let me try and rectify that, Paddy. Paddy, Aston Villa 3, Lazio 0. Finished 3-0, didn't it? Because I missed the last minute.
It did finish 3-0.
I missed the last minute.
You'll be doubting yourself now.
Oh, there we go. That's much better. Yeah. So 3-0. I really assured performance, Paddy. I mean, like that was. I think Villa might even in a couple of ways be a bit miffed, bit annoyed that Lazio didn't put up too much resistance. They didn't put up too much. Like Villa just had their number at every corner, at every turn, I think, and at every corner. I thought Villa looked like they were attacking in different areas from corners themselves. Albeit we didn't score from them, but I just thought Villa looked like they had their number. They looked like they were a week and a half, 2 weeks maybe further along than Lazio were, which is surprising because Maurizio Sarri is quite a good manager and he's known for being well drilled like that. But we bossed it.
We bossed it, and look, to be honest, after what I've saw in the last 2 weeks, I kind of expected it. In so far as I don't think Lazio are any good. I think it's a glamour friendly by name and only by name and they've got a couple of names on their books, but not enough to trouble us. But in saying that, I thought they fought hard. I thought they put in a couple of nasty challenges throughout the game as well. We'll get to that later on. But they're well capable of mixing it with the big boys in Serie A. So look, it's thankfully one that we've come out of unscathed by the looks of it. There was a couple of challenges in there, and bloody Peter Banks. The things he gave yellow cards for and the penalty did absolutely nothing when a fella coming off his feet like that. Absolutely. These bloody celebrities in that PGMOL put out on the pitch week in, week out in the Premier League, they absolutely baffle me. They haven't a clue. He gave a yellow card on a tackle late on. He waited to see how the Villa players reacted before he gave the yellow card. They've no authority whatsoever. They're not able to step up and just go yellow card. They have to wait and push people back away from them and everything. Nobody gives a shit about them. They're just absolutely awful. And they brought in all these new rules about surrounding the referees. It should be absolutely... it's going to be a shit show for the first weekend because, you know, how they're going to manage the likes of Bruno Fernandes and his ilk is beyond me. But look... That's that out of the way. The most important thing is we had incredible performance.
I'm laughing here.
I'm not talking anymore about a referee because we were brilliant.
I know I'm laughing at you here because preseason is only just for the players to get up to speed for the regular season. Paddy just did his little bit of a preseason there about the refs there a moment ago.
No, but like if he stamps his authority on that penalty and gives a yellow card, those challenges don't fly in for the rest of the game, and that's my biggest concern. I wasn't concerned whether Ollie Watkins put the ball in the back of the net. I was concerned that Boubacar Kamara was getting off the ground after that challenge. That was my sole focus today. The game,
you're right.
the game at that stage didn't matter. But when I saw him lying on his back, I was like, "Oh my God, this is one we cannot deal with at this stage."
And
So
it was
anyway,
one as well. I think when the tackle went in, Boubacar Kamara was kind of outstretched, or like he had tried to touch the ball past him, if I remember rightly. So it was one of those ones whereby if the tackle comes in when the person is stretching, and the person is stretching when they're trying to move the ball, it's usually the force of the tackle will be way worse than the evading force, if that makes sense. But no, look, he got up and he was fine. It was like Lazio towards the end. I think Lazio knew that they were outmanned, they were outgunned, they were outmuscled. Like Tati Castellanos or whatever his name was came on, the guy who scored those goals against Real Madrid last season. A good player, but he came on, and like there's no need for kind of like stamping him for his toes and stuff like that and just messing what like he was doing with Mings. Mings would have picked him up and snapped him in half. It's that simple. And Mings didn't really get involved, which I wouldn't have expected him to. But look, there was a small bit of niggle in it. But look, Paddy, I suppose it's good to have that too, and that I take that as a compliment at this point of the season.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Well, I took it was that they weren't up for playing us. They weren't good enough to come up and play us, so they decided to do that kind of stuff. But look, I think we've got that out of the way. Let's talk about an amazing first half performance, because for 33, 34 minutes, I thought the first 33, 34 minutes were exactly how I would like us to play going into the Premier League season. There was just some amazing things to talk about. There was just some incredible passages of play to talk about. We just have so much excitement and around this team. It is amazing.
Literally the only negative. I'm gonna have one negative, and I'm gonna have one thing that was pointed out to me as well. I think the only two things that we did wrong in the first half was when Olsen chipped that ball to the edge of the area and Lazio to a Lazio guy. Nothing came of it, but it was a misplaced pass, and then obviously the penalty miss. And look, we'll talk about the penalty miss in a moment, Paddy. Like everybody here who watches the podcast knows, I think Ollie Watkins is a very good footballer. I will put my hands up, and as I've said before, in the run-in last year, I thought the player in form should be taking the penalties, but I think like it was really just because that he was in white hot form. We need a new penalty taker. I think and I'm willing to admit that. And while it didn't matter in this game, and like we could have won this game 5-6, we could have won this 5 or 6. We really could have. Between Tillman's shot off the bar, when Dia had one that was saved, someone had a header as well in the first half. I think it was Chambers had a header that was saved. Maybe, we could have won this at a canter. But when we play Newcastle on first day of the season, if Ollie Watkins steps up to take a penalty, even me, the conductor of the Ollie Watkins fan bus, always have been. Go back to the days of Team Paddy, Team Neil, Ings, Watkins, all this kind of crack. I like what Watkins does, and I'm kind of saying if he steps up to take a penalty, I'm covering my eyes like this as well, because I just don't know. He's probably got a 50% hit rate, I'd say, for Villa at the moment, and where we want to go, we're going to need to capitalize on penalties. And I think with the speed in this team, Paddy, I think with the high press of this team, penalties could become a familiar thing for us. And they're going to need to be guarantees.
Huge. Yeah, and it is something that needs to be discussed and something that needs to be talked about, because look, some of the best players I've ever played with couldn't score a penalty to save their life. A penalty taker, it's either in it or it's not. And for me, it's not in Ollie Watkins. We have so many people there, dead ball specialists, well able to take free kicks, corners, set pieces, any kind of set piece. So it's time to change it.
For me.
It's got to be Tielemans. It's either Tielemans, it's Luca Dean, or it's Coutinho, depending on who's on the pitch. Surely there's somebody more consistent that will be playing, that will be able to do it. We'll worry about that another stage, but we can't afford to be turning up those opportunities when they come. So i.e., there's no such thing as Team Neil and Team Paddy. We're both on the same team with regards to Ollie Watkins
That was a joke.
since he. Oh no, I know that since he came in, since Emery came in, we're all on Team Watkins. He's been absolutely brilliant. We have to credit Emery for his transformation, just to simplify his game and put him in the positions, and we saw that with the goal he got. Now, thought what the goal he got, it was like watching Paul Merson over again. Paul Merson passed by Yuri Tielemans, and you're just there going, "Oh my God!" We have so much expectation here, and that's the worrying thing going into this season, because we've just got these incredible footballers, and so many of them. We could be potentially going into the new season where our best signing for the second year in a row is a free signing. And it's absolutely mad to think that that's the case. Incredible.
And look, you know, I'm not one of these big believers, or I'm not one of these big champions of net spend. Net spend and XG is, everybody who listens to the podcast, the two things that kind of make me sit back and go, okay, once you start talking about those, I don't have anything more to offer to the conversation, because I now know we're clutching at straws for where we want to go with regards to the conversation here, because both of them are look, if to me they're silly, to me they're uncontextual and so on and so forth. But won't get into it too much now, because I like your refs. Mine is XG and mine is net transfer spend. Yes, there are two metrics that you can look at, but realistically, in the greater scheme of things, they don't mean anything. Other than in that specific moment in time. Like, as you said there, Paddy, net spend for Tielemans and for Martinez and pens like Chilavert. I'd love that. Net spend for Tielemans and Boubacar Kamara for two central midfielders. You would realistically be talking in the market now, like Tielemans, we'll still say he's 25 million pound player, and for Boubacar Kamara you're looking at 30-40 million, you know. So to save yourself 65 million and then you know, to get them for free is just absolutely outrageous. It's outrageous money saved that we have there. Also, Paddy, you know, we talk about even the money that we spent. It's looking like we've spent really well in Moussa Diaby. It looks like we've really spent, and I know we're talking about that goal, and that pass from Tielemans was just sublime. And that's a tactic I think Villa have now, is to pull Watkins out that way. Remember the goal that Diaby got when or to pull a player out either left or right. Douglas Luiz's long ball over. I think that was actually looking for Watkins, but Watkins made the run in behind Diaby, and it actually went a small bit further forward, Watkins, and then Diaby had the pace to get onto it. So I think that's an actual tactic for Watkins, to pull so far left, to drag a centre half out of there, that a midfielder maybe has to think about backpedaling, or maybe trying to come forward to Douglas Luiz to try and stop that pass. And he was able to dink it over the top. Tielemans did the same thing today, although Tielemans' pass, I think, just had a small bit more about it. I thought it was a beauty today, and he played brilliantly, and that's why we have him on the front page and on the thumbnail of this, because I'm excited about him. His positioning was really good today, and you know, you hear all these people say doesn't have a motor, doesn't have the engine for Premier League football. That may turn out to be the case on match day 28, 29, 30, 38, whatever it is. But so far in pre-season, I'm not seeing this guy who doesn't have the engine or can't cover the ground, because I thought he was absolutely everywhere tonight, and I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah, you don't need to be a speedster or a world land speed record holder to be a brilliant footballer. Thankfully, neither was Paul Merson, who I alluded to earlier on for the pass. He just... I think it was 76 or 77 minutes before I saw him give the ball away. The guy is just an amazing, like... I'm lost for words, because I've actually fallen in love with the guy over the last week and a half from watching him in America to being there tonight. And as some people said to me on Twitter, he's not a lone player, so knock yourself out. So I have a funny feeling that my away kit is coming in with the number 8 on the back of it for sure. It just begs belief that we're in this situation. I think the third goal, while it was a nothing goal, if you go back a few steps into it, epitomised our performance. Dougie Luiz and Coutinho passing amongst themselves, and the boys shit themselves and went to close them down and completely left Seb Revan on his own. And it just goes to show that we have oodles and oodles of talent all over the pitch, and you just can't afford to leave the other guys because they will do you damage, and that was shown tonight. So there you go.
Paddy Miles Morris says, hard to believe we got McGinn, Kamara, and Tielemans for less than we saw at Carney. If you're led to believe what Wesley went for, considering they bought out his contract, apparently they bought out his contract and his add-on bonuses, which I read online during the week. We got them for less than we sold Wesley for, apparently, when all things taken into account. So just to put that into perspective there, Miles. But Paddy, yes, look, Tielemans really, really good, and that third goal, as you mentioned there, the two lads passing the ball around, and I've specifically not spoken about McGinn's goal here because we'll bring that into the end, because I just thought, like, John McGinn is getting hero status very, very quickly. Well, I won't say very quickly because he's been here 6 years now. He's the longest serving player, I think, in the team, but he's getting hero status slowly but surely, I think, over that time. But for that third goal, you mentioned Douglas Luiz and Coutinho. I thought Coutinho played well when he came on. Thought he played nice. I thought he had a real nice nice passage of play around the edge of the area and had a shot, got his shot away, and I thought he was unlucky not to score. It was a good shot that he got away. I thought Bailey played well tonight. I thought he looked confident for the first time in probably since Leeds away. Was it Leeds away? I think it was Leeds away, when just after Unai Emery came in. He hasn't really looked that confident. But like, I thought he looked confident. I thought he looked purposeful when he ran with the ball. Linked up well with the Abbey, which you would expect. Maybe that could be something. But I thought he was okay. And who else did I think? I had someone else marked out as well that I thought played well today. Can't think. Oh, Callum Chambers. I thought Callum Chambers was really good right back. I thought he was assured. Yeah. There was one ball that came across the box. He backheeled it out to the edge of the area as cool as you like. He was good in possession. He buckled the fella off the ball. Callum Chambers for me tonight. I can't fault anyone that played tonight. I thought that Callum Chambers said, "Screw this pre-season. If people are writing me off and Villa need a right back, throw me in there. Let me see if I can do it." I thought it was
absolutely
really good. Fair play to
him. Just first off, before we forget, Matt Howland, thank you very much.
Thank you, always. Matt. Yes, thank you. Really appreciate that.
Great supporter of the podcast. Simon, I am absolutely not having a go at you, but I thought Olsen, bar his one pass, had an excellent game tonight. And the one thing I loved about it, we saw little shades of Emi Martinez with him playing sweeper keeper, especially in the second half, where the ball came along over the top. Now, you say he didn't face Premier League level press.
He didn't.
But remember, we imposed the press on them for 90 minutes, which made it very difficult for them to press us. So it's all swings and roundabouts with this one. But give credit where it's due. I thought he was on the ball. And there was a couple of times since Olsen has joined where I expected him to be out playing sweeper keeper, and he wasn't. And he did it twice tonight really, really well. One of them was offside. I know he came down the header.
I think what we'll do, Paddy, I think, look, with regards to Olsen, we've kind of both had our say, and I have my say twice because I'm greedy, but we've both had our say on Olsen. I suppose it's specifically after the Unai Emery thing. But I think what I'm going to say now is that, listen, until he goes, he's our backup goalkeeper. We can give out about him all we like, but it's not a case of, we can't just turn around and say, "Oh, do you know what? We'll try John Duran in goals." And I know I'm going to see the comments come up here and go, "Jesus, I prefer if John Duran was in goals." It's probably going to come, but it's not like you can turn around and say, "Hey, let's play John McGinn at left wing back, or let's bring in another centre half and change the tactics." Every tactic has a goalkeeper. And if Unai Emery doesn't sell him, yes, we can promote a younger player. We can somebody from the academy. But what I find it very difficult to, he's basically he will be all we have if we don't sell him. And that's, so I suppose where I'm going to speak about him is, I'm going to speak about him well if he does something well. I'm going to speak about him. I'm going to kick him to the curb if he does something bad, just like I suppose it would any other player. But he's last line of defence, and essentially he is actually the last line of defence, because if Emi Martinez goes down, it's him. And then,
of course.
so when everyone says Emi Martinez is the last line of defence, he's not. It's your backup goalkeeper is. And while we may not all be in agreement with it, and this isn't anything about anything you said tonight, it's just on Olsen in general, because I could feel that 10 games into the season, we might have a comment on Robin Olsen. If things are going well, it might be a thing of, do you think we'll get rid of Olsen between now and the end of this, at the end of the transfer window, should I say? But until we get rid of him, I think we kind of just have to kind of go with it as it is. And there's so many different bits and pieces that we can talk about tonight, and we can give him kudos for the couple of passes that he wouldn't have made last season, or playing sweeper keeper, or whatever the case may be. But until he pulls out that worldly, and until he strings together like the first half he had the last game of the season, he was very good in the first half. Was it the first half? Second half? Can't remember. One of those games, he was pretty decent, and then he just fell to pieces in the second half. Until he starts stringing those together, I am a show me type person. I say I hold Cameron Archer to the standard of, I know he's got loads of talent, but until he does it in the Premier League, I still think we need another striker in. Go do it in the Premier League. Same with Robin Olsen. Go do it in the Premier League. But until we sell him, I think he's I think it's we have to have a goalkeeper, and it's for me it's not much really more that I can talk about him on, to be honest with you. Yeah. Anyway, Paddy, I'll let you talk me through the John McGinn goal, because I just loved it.
We get that in a sec, because I've highlighted this comment from.
Sorry.
He said, "Still no Dendoncker. I've no information on that."
Dendoncker came back to training.
His other half had a baby.
I think. Yeah,
he's only just come back into training. With regards to Diego Carlos, I would imagine that was a injury management decision to leave him out tonight, and we would probably see him involved on Sunday, unless Unai Emery comes out and says otherwise, that maybe he had some kind of knock after America. But that's what I would imagine would happen. We are not going to see Diego Carlos after the injury he had, being involved in a team 48 hours apart with a game 48 hours apart. So that's my opinion on that one.
Yeah.
Now John McGinn.
And there was no, I don't think there was any real need to kind of even give him 20 minutes tonight. Like, it's a marathon and a sprint for somebody coming back from their Achilles. And as I say, he wanted to have a look at Seb Revan. Without it, we wouldn't have had a chance to look at Seb Revan, should I say. We wouldn't have had a chance to see Chambers play all those minutes at right back, and then we moved into centre half. And look, Ezri Konsa gets better and better game by game. He's just a very solid, very good player. And I know the whole Portugal thing might have been debunked recently, whether he could or whether he couldn't play because somebody maybe didn't have their passport. But Portugal would be stupid not to take a look at him, because Southgate certainly won't play him unless he changes his name to Ezri Cody. That's the only way he's going to get a game or get in the squad for
Neil, is this the most Roy Keane comment you've ever read?
Yeah. It's your job. Do your job. Did he give birth to himself? No. Do your job.
Neil,
do your job.
Neil, as a man who we have seen over the last few weeks starved of sleep, we know exactly where he's coming from. I've been that soldier many years ago now, thank God. I don't have to worry about the kids not getting to sleep. Yeah. But thanks very much, James, as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, you talk to me about John McGinn's goal.
Well, the only criticism I have of John McGinn is we don't see enough of them, because we see them every time at Scotland, but that is more down to the tactics more than anything else. We know he has it in his locker. I was there the day he hit that, probably the best goal I've ever seen at Villa Park against Sheffield Wednesday, back in the Championship. And it was just...
Staunton's
wasn't at Villa Park.
Were you not there? Oh, well, sorry, you said Villa Park. All right. Sorry. Yeah. I'm going sitting on the ground.
You disappeared again. Did you fall?
I'm sitting on the ground. I'm fucking kneeling here, and it's difficult, so I'm going to sit in the ground.
Yeah. It was hard to tell whether, I think it clipped off a guy's head on the way in, but whatever it was. But look, we know John McGinn has that in his locker. It's up to the coaches and the management team to get him into those positions to score goals, because we know he can do it. How many times has he done it with Scotland? We've seen him so many times prop up with those 15, 20-yard goals. The guy has it in his locker. We know he can do it. Unfortunately, we've been playing with a team that hasn't been able to get a player of John McGinn's ilk into the game. You know, we've signed this guy for $2.5 million. Look at the service he's given us over the years. He's been absolutely immense for us. I wouldn't have a bad word said about him. If he fell out of favour tomorrow, fell down the pecking order, there is a status there of legendary value for John McGinn, I think, forever. I think he will be known throughout our fan base as being one of the most important people who started our rebuild from the Championship to get us into the Premier League. And it gives me so much pride and pleasure to see him flourish and be part of a team that we spent lots of money to have him in there. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And the captain as well.
Absolutely, yeah, I think so. And look, you know what? Downright solid, really nice, honest to God human being too. That's another thing, you know. Same with Tyrone Mings, downright solid, honest, nice, just human being. And you know, Paddy, you've often said it before, the No Dickheads Club. Every team should be the No Dickheads Club. Now, not every team can afford to have that. You know, when, as we know, Mr. Cristiano and Mr. Bruno and a couple of more, they come across on the field as being as maybe not being the best team players as such or whatever, but they may be great in the dressing room. But these guys just come across as solid individuals, hardworking, and both of them had to break their absolute keysters to get where they got to. Like the story of Tyrone Mings in a call center. You know, John McGinn having to bust his ass to get from to even get into was he with St Mirren, and then he went on to Hibs and then onto the Premier onto us as well. So you know, comes from footballing family, albeit, but still, you know, you still have to get to the top level. So fair play to them. You know, will and want and I suppose ambition. You know, you can't kill that. And some people and just delighted to have him on board.
Yeah.
But that goal was something special tonight, and he fairly pinged it in.
It absolutely was. And given the day that's in it, the anniversary of the day that we signed Paul McGrath, and yesterday the anniversary of us signing Steve Staunton, yes, I do agree that pound for pound, McGinn is one of the best signings we ever made. When you think of the steal we got him for, and we probably would have never got him if Celtic had paid the other $500,000. And that's the truth be told. He could have went and played Champions League football at Celtic for another $500,000, and Celtic, penny pinching as usual, didn't pay the money. I'd say they regret it. Yeah, absolutely.
So like we're on to, it's going to be really interesting because we're on to Valencia. I suppose the team we're going to, after tonight, they're going to be a flight tomorrow morning. Like probably get over to Spain, get a training session in the locale in the climate, and play the game on Saturday, and then back on a plane Sunday and back home again and get ready for Newcastle. So it's exciting times, and the games are coming thick and fast. Paddy, if I was to pin you to the wall and ask you to give me your starting 11, I don't need you to give me your starting 11. Don't need you to name 1 to 11, but would you be able to? Would you be confident in writing 9 or 10 or 4 in marker and then the rest in pencil? So how confident are you could name the starting 11?
I could name the starting 11 for next week. I couldn't name the starting 11 for Saturday.
Oh yeah, sorry, no, I mean for Newcastle. That's what I'm talking about.
For Newcastle, yeah, I reckon I could get at least 9 correct for Newcastle, but he in my opinion, he threw a curveball today because I was sure that today was set up to prepare the players for European football and to do the 2 games in 48 hours and see what the turnaround is like. But he brought in a load of players today that we weren't expecting to start and made huge changes at halftime as well. So, or not halftime, was it early in the second half or was it halftime? Which my Villa TV went down at halftime. Yeah.
It was staggered.
It was staggered. Okay. But look, it's I could. Do you want me to name them?
No. I said you don't need to name him. No. I just want to know how confident you were that you could.
Yeah, we have a lot to talk about next week. I'll try and name them next week, but we'll do our usual going through each month and how many points we'll get in each month and try and work it out that way to where we'll finish. As luck would have it, most of the first few months were wrong last year, but I think by the time we got to the end of the season, we weren't far off for points total.
Exactly. Yeah.
And can you imagine if we played like that for the full season? But anyway, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. A couple of people asking where John Duran is at the moment. The club haven't really said much, but as far as we know, he's kind of just training, building up fitness, and just being kind of kept there. I would say, if Villa get a striker, he goes out on loan. If they don't get a striker, he's brought into contention. But I don't think there's any huge kind of there's no issue or anything there with him. I just think he's as raw as hell. I think that's pretty much it. And I think the fact that the club had X amount of players to bring to the States, he missed out on that trip. And that's probably it. I don't think there's any panic buttons being pressed with him or anything at the moment. I think it's just a case of
and remember he was kind of nursing an injury too.
He was nursing an injury as well, yeah.
And Unai Emery did come out in one or other of the interviews and say that he was part of his plans this year, which he did with Cameron Archer, Robin Olsen, Philogene Bidace, all of them. So we've got to take him at his word and realise that we've got a big enough squad now with probably a couple more to go out and maybe a couple more to come in. So
I still think we're a striker, Paddy. I still think we need a striker for me to turn around and say we've got all bases covered. Bar goalkeeper, okay, let's not get into the goalkeeper thing, but we've got all bases covered if we bring in another senior striker, another experienced striker.
I don't see anyone senior going out. So I think if we sign a striker and sign a right back, I'd be very, very happy.
And I don't even think we'll sign a right back.
We may not. Haven't seen Konza, Chambers, and Cash share that position. Yeah. But if, for example, the likelihood of those three, Chambers could go out. So if Chambers went out, then we could sign a right back. But they're the two positions I think are key now, just to have top quality backup. That's what I'd be happy with. If the transfer window ended in midweek next week and we've signed the two of them, I'd be very, very happy.
Yeah, absolutely. People are talking for Ferran Torres in the chat. Mm-hmm. That would be a dream. I think that would be really, really, really good. Look, once again, we'll let Monchi and we'll let Unai do their thinking. We won't have anybody. Well, PSK, I think I saw him pop up there a minute ago. We might have someone in. We might not have somebody in, but I think rumors will start to gather pace between now and probably the weekend, probably next weekend. And incomings and outgoings are always possible until the end of the transfer window. So we'll take it from there. It's going to be exciting, and this team is going to be exciting. And for once, we're not just trying to win the off-season Olympics by signing the best players. It looks like we've signed some good players to come in amongst already good players, and really formidable and really, really good manager. Fair play to Unai Emery. Fair play to whoever decided to go and get Unai Emery. Really is should be on everybody's Christmas card list, because games like tonight are Unai's plan. And if we can go to Europe and play against teams, as somebody said earlier on, and they are correct, that Lazio finished second to Napoli although albeit a distant second, they finished second to Napoli in Serie A last year. So they're no mugs. And like if we're in the Conference League and we can go and we can boss games like that, we'll have some really exciting Thursday nights all the way up until the final, hopefully, and past that. So I'm going to let myself get fucking carried away. I'm going to let myself get carried away about tonight, Paddy.
Getting carried away is okay, Neil. And Ronan gave out to the two of us earlier in our group chat, because he said something on the podcast the other night and he didn't get it. And I actually saw the comment coming in, so I've made a point.
Which one was this? I'll talk about the kids.
This one. I saw this one come in, but the reason I've highlighted this one is because there has been a lot of talk today about this
Aaron
one.
Ramsey?
Aaron Ramsey going to Burnley
not for 10 million. I'm going to take this one, Paddy, because I'm going to get something off my chest. Take this and get something off my chest.
Go
If
ahead.
Man City can sign, albeit England's under 20 or whatever, under 21 goalkeeper who did have a really, really good championships, if they can sell him for 19 million to Burnley, okay? If they can do that, when we have a player who has proven pedigree within the championship and they're looking to sign him for 10 million, and no, I'm not having it. I'm not having it just because the player comes out of Man City. And look, this isn't a criticism of James Trafford. It's not. It never has been. It's not a criticism of Shea Charles, who Man City sold for 12 million to Southampton. It's not a criticism of any of those guys. Romeo Lavia last year, okay, went on to be a fine player. At the price. Yeah, Gavin Bazuna. Why do Man City get to dictate the price to whoever the hell they want when they're selling young players who have zero experience? Okay, maybe they might have League One, League Two experience. Aaron Ramsey has 2 loans, albeit one not so good and one very good loan to the to the Championship. If they're selling for 10 million, it's their own fault. Absolutely their own fault.
And look,
you know,
I for this reason, these 2 reasons alone, this week we've seen Louis Barry, who to me I thought his future was elsewhere, sign a new contract and go up straight out on loan because they feel, number one, they may need to recoup what they have invested in him, in paying the wages, paying the money to West Brom, paying the money to Barcelona to get him in. And then they did the exact same thing with Finn Azaz. They have faith in these guys that there could possibly be a 6-month or a 12-month loan away from playing first team football. So I doubt very much that 10 million would cut it for Aaron Ramsey. I don't doubt for 1 minute that he could go out on loan. That is absolutely a possibility. But I can't see him being sold for 10 million. I think it sounds absolutely bizarre. And you know what? I think we might have needed to be hard up for that 10 million to sell, and I just can't see it unless there's something we don't know in the background. I just can't see it.
Yeah, I think. Look. If let's just say we do sell him, and there's a buyback clause like Man City have done, I think that could be clever. As in, like, you sell him for 10 million and then next year you can buy him back for, like, he's going to be playing Premier League football for Burnley, you hope. Next year you can buy him back. If they get relegated, you get him back for 10 million. If they stay up, you can buy him back for 15 or whatever the case is, you know. And then that buyback clause then has an expiry date of like the year after or 18 months after the case. You know, there's an awful lot of finagling going on there. It might be an easy way for us to get him out into the Premier League on a pseudo loan. That's the only way I would be happy with something like this, and that's the only way I'd send him.
It's messy though, isn't it?
Am I saying that Aaron Ramsey? It is, but the only way I see is selling him for 10 million is like that. Now, as I say, do I think Aaron Ramsey is going to go on and force his way into the Villa team? No, he may not. But we're at the stage whereby, you know, if other teams are selling off their England international underage internationals and their highly thought of youngsters for much more, we're not. If we don't need that 10 million, and we think that, you know, he can blossom over the next 2 years, maybe he gets a loan to the Championship again, and his price tag goes up, you know. So for me, unless the need is there to bring in 10 million, and unless it's very favourable in the buybacks and all that, I just don't see the need for Aston Villa to get rid of him for that reason, and also for the homegrown player quota for Europe too.
Exactly.
Isn't there a third Ramsey? It's like Game of Thrones at this stage, John. There is,
and his name is Cole, and apparently the Ramseys are better as they get younger. So why disrupt that trilogy and get rid of one of them? It doesn't make any sense.
He went out to Egypt, Paddy, didn't he? He went out to Egypt and they actually took him off at half. So there was a tournament they played in FCZ. I think it was called the Z tournament or whatever. And they played out there. And there was, I think Sporting Lisbon were out there. There's a couple of other teams from Europe out there. But he played in one of the games. And I think they stopped him playing in the rest of the games because people were coming up and talking to him afterwards from other clubs. And that was the rumor. That was the rumor that was going around, that they actually hooked him in one of the games because they said, "No, we need to keep this guy here." you know, and it was a nothing tournament. They were doing FCZ a favor, I think, because they went out there to help, and he started catching the eye of people out there. So that was something I read online. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. If you are, if anybody close to the Ramses is watching and can confirm or deny that, it would be interesting. But yeah, that's a little one on Cole Ramsey. We leave it at that, Paddy. 6 minutes past 10. Lads, 512 people watching. Jeepers creepers. Can you please give us a thumbs up? And if you're not subscribing to the podcast already, subscribe. I'm brutal at this YouTube thing. I love talking to Paddy too much. I love looking at your comments too much. And I always forget to ask people to grow the channel X, Y, and Z. We had an influx of people over the last month, though, Paddy. We had like 500 or 600 people. We clipped 6,000 subs. And then I think it was one of the giveaways we did, and a lot of people started following. So I don't know whether they're going to all drop off again, whether they're actually real Aston Villa fans or what the story is. But if you guys do like the channel, please give us a sub. We're here for the long haul, and we're looking forward to a really, really good season. For those of you who are not regular watchers of the podcast here, we do pre-matches, we do post-matches, we do team sheet tantrums. The team sheet tantrums are always my favorite because there's such optimism there. And as you know, if anybody's linked via transfer, you'll get probably too many podcasts about them, but you'll get enough for what you want. So that's my little sales pitch for the podcast. If you guys do are interested in it as well. Also, we have a live podcast on the 9th of September. Still open to win a pair of 2 tickets to that. All you got to do is email for the loveofpalmcgrath@gmail.com. Basically, give me either your Twitter handle or your Facebook handle or your Instagram handle or whatever it is, just to check you out on social media to make sure you're a real person. Because I'd hate to give these tickets to somebody who wasn't a real person. And then just tell me why you want the tickets. Simple as that. And then we're going to pick we're going to pick somebody at random. And we're going to give away those 2 tickets on. We give them away on Monday, Paddy. I think I said Monday. Monday, the 7th of August. So we'll stick at Monday, the 7th of August. Yeah.
I reckon me and you will be back on Monday. Number 1, it's a bank holiday here in Ireland. Number 2, I think the 2 of us are at home. Are we? Are we at home? And
I'm at home. Yeah. But it's not a bank holiday for me.
All right. And number 3, and most importantly, we will know on Monday who we play in the playoff for our Europa Conference League place. So we'll probably talk about what happens with Valencia. I think we're both in trouble for recording on match day on Saturday. Would that be correct?
Potentially, so yes, actually, great point, Paddy. Let's talk about that because we'll probably be seeing a shorter team sheet tantrum on Saturday if I'm able to do it. Just because my internet is so hit and miss here, and I might be, if I'm not in this exact spot, that's why I'm kneeling on the ground here in an exact spot and not at a table or chairs. It's just really hit and miss. So I plan to be on. We'll keep an eye on social medias for that, for team sheet tantrums and so on for the game on Saturday. I know, Paddy, you won't be able to make it, but we'll try and get something out there. We'll try and get something done on that. I might be coming to you with a beach behind me, even something along those lines, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see about that.
I will do my utmost to get on, even if it's just for the name of the team, just to have a chat. But I'm going to a gig that I've been waiting for a long time, so I might not be in the mental state to be able to talk. Let's just say when it comes around to the team sheet tantrum, but all good. It's only a friendly. We'll be okay, and we'll have a lot to talk about Sunday and Monday.
Exactly. So with that, everybody, it's 10:10. It's a school night for some people, so I'm going to let you guys get back to whatever you do after 10 o'clock on a Thursday night. But look, really, really nice viewing there from Aston Villa tonight, and it's been a really positive preseason so far. There's more to come. There's more players to come in, as we say, and the professor is busy working in the lab as we speak. Mr. Unai Emery is, and long may that continue in Aston Villa's colours. So thanks so much, everybody, for watching and for listening. Thank you, Paddy, for coming on in your on location broadcast. As same, and I'm going to say thank you to myself for being able to try and make this work, because I'm only short of being pedaling on a bike here to power a generator to power fucking a
Here, look,
movie. So that's all
Neil.
I'm here to get.
Neil, we had over 600 people on here at one stage. They are the reason to keep us
Bonkers.
trying our best to get on and get these done. Just because I think it's amazing that these 600 people on a Thursday night are coming in to talk to us two people, talk rubbish about football, and thank you to everybody for the incredible messages. The people that bought tickets to our live podcast, absolutely blown away. The people still looking for tickets for that live podcast, absolutely blown away. Do us a favor, give it a thumbs up. There's still 400 of you there. Give it a thumbs up. We know when we say is that it, that people start dropping off and they go looking for other content. But we always end up talking for another 5 minutes after that. But please do give us a thumbs up. We're here for the long haul. As long as Neil wants to listen to me giving out about referees, I will always drop on here and have a chat with you all. And it's a great little community that we have. And even when we're both away from our broadcasting boudoirs, we still do our best to get on and have a chat with you. So thanks a million.
Yeah. Thanks very much, everyone. I'm going to leave it at that because I can see blinking red lights on my modem at the moment, so we could be forcefully exited at any moment. Thanks very much, everybody. Real positive night. I might even go back and see if I can. Well, it won't be on Villa TV until 12 o'clock tomorrow again, I don't think. Yeah, listen, if you can find it somewhere else, I'd say watch the first half of that again because I really enjoyed it, and I know you did too. So thanks very much, everybody. Have a great evening. Stay safe, stay healthy, and all that's left to say is up the Villa.
Up the Villa.